When have you last seen me on television? Can anyone listening to this show tell me the last time you saw me on Fox News? Can anyone listening to this show tell me when you last read about me in a major newspaper? The question is why? I mean, there are other so-called conservative talk show hosts who are seen and heard, but not me. Why is that? Is it possible because the others are wrapped within corporations that have deep business ties in China and elsewhere, and they toe the party line? They're told, okay, you can put on a little act of being patriotic, but don't go too far, wallbanger. Don't go too far, blackboard, or else we'll lose our deal in China. Is that possible? I have an article in my hand. I can't read you the whole thing. It's on michaelsavage.com. Why the Blackballing of Michael Savage, ? By Coach Dave Daubenmire. And I had not heard of the gentleman, but you may remember him. Coach Dave Daubenmire is the founder and president of Pass the Salt Ministries and Minutemen United, very important organization. And he has a small radio show. In 1999, the coach was sued by the ACLU for praying with his teams while coaching high school in Ohio. He now spends his energy fighting for Christian principles in the public domain. So he wrote the article entitled, Why the Blackballing of Michael Savage? And he says, I'm a talk radio addict. He says, I don't know how it happened to me or why, but there's something about the art that really sucks me in. He says, my favorite, if there is such a thing, is Michael Savage. Out of all the voices flying through the air, his is the one that seems to be most independent. Don't get me wrong, he says, I know that all of them are controlled to a certain degree, but Dr. Savage is the one who I think I can most trust to call him like he sees him. Well, let me correct you, Coach. I'm not controlled at all. Other than the dirty words or disparaging people we do business with or advertisers, which I would never do anyway, I am totally free to tell you as I call him like I see him, so make no mistake about it. He then goes on and he says, here's a list of America's top-rated talkers. All of them are conservative and are instrumental in shaping the thought process of millions of Americans. And he goes through the usual list, and he says they all have he goes down the list, and then he says Republican good, Democrat bad, liberal bad, conservative good. He says the Savage Nation is the fourth largest show. I believe it's the third, actually. Then he asks, can anyone tell me the last time you saw Michael Savage on any television show? And he said radio hosts love to cross-pollinate. Wallbanger loves to share the opinions of others in radio. Laura Ingraham has a regular gig with Bill O'Reilly, often guest hosting for Bill. And then he names others who are on all of the time. And he says, why is it Dr. Savage seems to be so persona non grata in the controlled conservative media? Could it be that most of those listed above are nothing but political hacks, propaganda arms of the Republican Party, and that there are those in authority who do not appreciate how Savage so willingly undresses both sides of the political charade? And then he goes through a little bit more. But he says, why is Savage so blatantly blackballed from the conservative talk show club? According to Talkers Mag, Savage has a regular listening audience of over 8 million people a week. Yet no one would recognize him if you passed him on the street. Why is it that a show this popular gets so little exposure in so-called conservative circles? Why has Michael Savage been banished to the conservative closet? Michael Savage is a real doctor, real PhD that is. While neither Limbaugh, Hannity, nor Beck have a college degree, Dr. Savage has an earned PhD from the University of California at Berkeley in epidemiology and nutrition science. He's written 28 books, 4 of which have made the New York Times bestsellers list. His latest work, Trickle Up Poverty, is currently burning up the printing presses, and his program is carried by about 300 stations around the country. Tell me again, when was the last time you saw Savage on Fox News? Now, I'm going to scan some of the things he says. He has no sacred cows. He made enemies in 2006 when he accused the Catholic Church of violating the law by giving assistance to illegal immigrants. He's talking about me. His theme of borders, language, and culture has served as a rallying call for the millions who tune in nightly. Well, let's see. There's a big one here. It was Savage who first informed America and ultimately led the fight to keep President Bush from turning control of our ports over to Dubai. His brief show on fascist MSNBC in 2003 was canceled after Savage was set up and sabotaged by a caller. So why have they banned him from the Conservative Boys Club, he asks. And now here's an important part, I believe. The Savage Nation has a deep spiritual side to it. Unlike any other talk show host in America, Dr. Savage regularly reads aloud from the Bible. Although he keeps his personal religious beliefs to himself, he uses the Holy Scriptures as a warning to America of the consequences of our continued disobedience to God's laws. He certainly is not an evangelical Christian, but his call for our allegiance to the laws of nature and of nature's God reflects a greater spiritual depth than any of America's top talkers. Limbaugh refers to talent on loan from God. Wallbanger loves to quote John 14:1, but neither appear to have real understanding of the things of the Spirit, while Blackboard is a Mormon who loves to talk about God and our need to find our own path. So he says, what's going on? Why is Savage blacklisted? Perhaps it's because Savage still continues to push back against the darlings of republicanism and often exposes that those in the government all receive their minor league training at Goldman Sachs. And then he goes on and on and on and on and on. And I'll conclude here. Savage is as conservative as they come. He often warns his listeners to beware of the government media complex. Could it be that his opposition to status quo government and his independent streak are a threat to those who are guardians of the conservative movement? Is that why Michael Savage is being blacklisted? Thanks, Dave Dabenmeyer. I really appreciate it. I don't need you to comment on this. I'd rather stick to what we were talking about, which is the China issue. And most eerily, I have to play for you again a few sound bites. Let's listen to clip 5 now of Mr. Obama.
We want to sell you all kinds of stuff. We want to sell you planes. We want to sell you cars. We want to sell you software. And as President Hu and his government refocuses the economy on expanding domestic demand, that offers opportunities for U.S. businesses, which ultimately translates into U.S. jobs.
Well, unfortunately, he's wrong, whether he knows so or not, and I believe he does know better. He's the President of the United States. He's the most powerful man in the world. And he knows that if we sell them an airplane, they don't just buy the airplane. They want the technology to build their own version of that airplane. China is a copycat nation. They don't just get the airplane, they get the blueprints. They get the metallurgy. They get the electronic technology. But you wouldn't know that from the president, would you? I can give you example after example. We read that there's a nuclear cooperation agreement emerging between Obama and Hu that they worked out at a private dinner, and we don't know whether they ate carrot sticks and ice cream or something else. But we do know this. They worked out, they said, a sharing of nuclear technology. What does that mean? Does anyone know what that means? Does that mean that Obama just gave away the last vestiges of support that we have for our own self-defense? Would you even know this? I'll be right back.
Savage.
China is in the air. And again, it's easy for the people in the government media complex who are pro-China and pro-business to say that tariffs won't work. It's the mark of a fool to think that tariffs will work. It'll result in a trade war. This is all double talk. We are paying tariffs if we're manufacturers in America. Wherever we sell, we're paying tariffs going into those countries. The only a nation where there are no tariffs that I know of is the United States of America, and that is because either the business community or the government itself is so riddled with salesmen, I don't know how else to put it, that the people don't even know what's going on. Okay, I told you, if you export goods out of the U.S., you're paying tariffs when those goods arrive in the foreign country. But yet when they sell to us, they don't pay any tariffs, no add-ons, no nothing. That's why we have so many jobless. Then you figure out that over 1 million jobs were taken by illegal aliens in construction and other areas. And now you understand why we have such social upheaval in the United States of America. It's because we have either total incompetence. I mean, you could look at it that way. It's just a snowballing effect that's resulted in this. But the fact is that there's more to it than that. There are outright traitors or men without countries who care less about the health of the nation. And then there are people like us in talk radio, or shall I say myself, who are still Boy Scouts, who feel that we must save America at all costs, that it must be America first. not America last. That we must stop thinking about what the other guy thinks and make them start thinking about what we think. I am so sick and tired of hearing from Kissinger about how great China is. They'll never be subordinate. They shouldn't be subordinate. They're going to insist on their views. It's unavoidable. He is nothing but a quisling, in my opinion. And it's time to fix this. America first, not America last. Al in New York, WOR. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Michael, this is Al from Butler, New Jersey. But listen, I got to tell you, about 5 years ago, I ran into Steve Ducey in a parking lot, and he's a pleasant guy.
Wait, who is he? I don't know who he is. Who's Steve Ducey?
He's Fox and Friends. He's
okay.
On Fox and Friends.
Right.
Steve, I said, why don't you have Michael Savage on your show? His excuse was, well, he's on the West Coast and we're on the East Coast, and I don't know. And I said, but Steve, he's one of the most listened to talk shows on the radio. He wouldn't.
Al, don't you understand? It's beyond him. He's probably a very nice guy. They don't have the ultimate say over what happens there. Nor do I care. Al, I'm not the issue anymore. I'm at a certain mature phase of my career where it doesn't matter to me what show I'm on. You understand? It's about. The issue is not whether I'm on or not. The issue is why I'm not on. You understand? It's not that I want to be on the show. It wouldn't do anything for my life. I'd only have to put on a suit and tie and go sit in front of a camera with makeup. So I don't even like to do that, Al. But the point is, there's a reason that they have unknown talk show hosts, radio host John Schmendrick that you never heard of. You never see me, right?
You know, Michael, I didn't catch that last thing you said, but, you know, I can't believe that that Obama had a secret meeting with our enemy. I call China the enemy, and actually said he was going to exchange nuclear technology with these people.
Yes, that's right. He struck a sharing of nuclear technology with China without any description to the American people or Congress what he means by that. It was like a vague story about the sharing of the ability to detect nuclear material or something. I have no idea what he's talking about. But I can guarantee you the Chinese learned something they didn't know, and we learned nothing that we needed to know. That I can guarantee you without being there. Okay? We got Alfred E. Newman in the White House. We've got a communist Alfred E. Newman in the White House.